Ladies and gentlemen,
Welcome to Empowered Voices. How are you?
I'm happy to be here.
Ooh, so I know you go by the name Love. Is that your real name or is that an acronym for something? Or
Ooh,
both?
and I've not heard someone ask if it was an acronym. That's new. I do get the question of if it's my real name a lot. So to set the record straight,
Let's go.
my given name is the Russian word for love.
Whoa, that's dope. What is that? How do you say it? I'm about to learn some Russian, y'all.
Lyubov.
Lubov? Wait, one more time. Lubov. I didn't get it right.
That's
Lubov.
actually pretty, for having like the English kind of like shapes that we have to use with our mouths.
Mm-hmm.
There's letters, there's things in the Russian language that don't translate. So
Yes.
L instead of L.
Trying to
Unless-
learn Spanish right now, so it's
Right, rolling
I
the
understand.
R's.
But
It's
Russian
different.
sounds like it's way harder to learn.
I'm wondering if it is, but it's like a type of name that I've had like different versions of it throughout my life. Lyubov is the given name, but then in Russian it gets shortened to Lyuba, which ended up being Lyuba in Russian or in English. And so like as a young child in like, preschool K, grade school, Lyubov is how it's written.
Mm-hmm.
And that was tripping people up too much. So then at least making the A be the last part instead of the OV, that helped. But then also at that point, I'm just like, what you're calling me is like so far from
My real name.
my real name, which is love. And in the Russian culture at that time, there was a lot of using the biblical like words like faith, hope, love. They just kept recycling that. My mom is faith, my sister's hope, I'm love, and then my mom's sisters are hope and love.
Wow.
So they just weren't that creative actually. But yeah, and
I think it's cool though.
it gets more of a reaction than like you meet people who are grace, you meet people who are joy,
Yeah.
like all those, and for some reason love gets like the most
The most play.
questioning.
Well,
They're like,
love is pretty dope. To me, that's like a name that sets you apart from a lot of people. 'Cause you're right, there are a lot of faiths and a lot of joys and Joyce and Grace, but love, I'm like, that's
kind of loaded.
yeah, yeah. And if you're not a good person, your name is Love, something's wrong. So I'm glad you're a good person. Should we jump in?
Yeah, you said you were trying to aim for 21 questions?
I got 21. 50 Cent song. All right, so what inspired you to become an artist? I heard it. Did it stop?
No, I think that might have been someone clicking around.
All right,
behind
rewind.
us. What inspired me to become an artist? Well, there was a lot of like aimlessness when I was younger. Like I had to use my imagination a lot. So I think my circumstances forced me to use imagination as a coping mechanism.
Ooh, that's dope.
Because I was like alone a lot. Like I used to have to just walk home from school, let myself in, get the key from under the rug and let myself in, and just be home alone till whenever. Even when you would live in apartments, I would just kind of wander around.
Wow.
And like get into usually not much trouble. Thankfully, even when I was in questionable, I would like go climb the fence and be like, oh, now I'm like in this weird area between fences. I don't know if you know about that.
I'm like, where were you living at? You
I
just
know.
jumping fences to fences?
I just, I was exploring. I was a really curious kid. And I was thinking about this today, that I never really got put onto a path, or I never really went on a path through my own gravitation. I was always kind of just doing my own thing and whatever I had to work with.
Yeah.
Whether that was like just being in the yard, in my grandma's yard, and like coming up with some, or like, well, I have this bike, so some crazy things that I'm not just riding a bike. I have to like stay off of the cracks or like.
Yeah, you
We
made
have-
your own little games. That's tight.
As a kid, we were talking before we started recording. As a kid, like school is where I struggled, but when I was free to just kind of do whatever, I was like so immersed in my own creativity. And so that question, I feel like it's different for me because there was not like, I think maybe if I was trying to answer it most simply, it would be just like, what inspired me to be an artist? It would be to stay alive, I guess, and have a reason to continue on. Because eventually things like got dark, having to be in society as like this imaginative kid.
It got weird.
It got weird.
Yeah. So do you think going to one of those cool schools that let you like learn outdoors or an environment where you pick up rocks and they teach you math with rocks that you found on the ground?
You mean the ones that most people can't afford?
Oh, is that what it is?
The like, yeah,
Yeah.
Waldorf and all those fancy names, and they're basically, I think they're private school type things. So it's a privileged thing to be able to like
It's
do.
village training.
Otherwise, what people who don't necessarily have that money do is just homeschool their kids. I met a lady who, she was saying that she no-schooled her kids, which was just she's describing it, and she's like, yeah, my daughter just does whatever she gravitates towards. I just pay attention to what her interests are and like bring her those things and then just let her guide herself and like, go wander in the forest. And I was like, that sounds like...
Go play in the forest.
Can you adopt me? But otherwise, even to this day, it's like having to, have some sort of like a structure where I'm like, well, I got these bills to pay, so, I can't just totally freeform that.
Right.
But I think that's what I'm doing right now, is like treating my life as the artwork, and I'm like, a little bit of this and
A little bit of that. That's tight. How would you describe your artistic style?
oh my gosh, these are good, because they really make me like part of me I notice is like not put on the spot, but I'm like, what's the perfect answer, or like, do I even...
There is no perfect answer. It's
Right.
just, you're an artist. Answer with
Right.
what you really feel.
I can just have the most I can be like, I have no answer. I don't know.
And yeah, if you're like,
No comment.
I just touch paint and it feels good and I splatter it, that's your artistic style.
Right. My artistic style, I would say, is maybe meticulous, which can be like in a way that doesn't help, is like, which keeps me from doing a lot of stuff, as I'm too afraid to like start and like mess up.
You're like, I need everything right where it needs to be before I start.
And I need to know what I'm doing right away.
Oh.
Well,
Do you have
yeah,
a lot of
unrealistic.
sketches of stuff that you want to do before you even start?
I have just the idea.
Walk us through the process of your creation then. Like if you're like...
Oh my gosh, I feel like I want to answer that my style is just winging it.
That's awesome.
Like, I'm like, I think I go by feel, and I know what I want it to feel like, and then I just, maybe being present too, is like, what's actually here and what's happening.
Yeah, I like that. That's how I create when I'm doing music. I don't like to go with a style in mind, because if I'm like, I'm going to make some boom bap hip hop stuff, and the vibe that's coming out is really housey, it literally hits a wall and I can't get around it, because that's what's in me to create right now. So I kind of just go in open-minded and just start hitting stuff and hearing what it sounds like, and whatever comes out, comes out.
Free form.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are messy.
Yeah. It definitely starts off messy, and then magically it just comes together and just becomes something beautiful.
Just trusting the process.
Tight. What mediums do you prefer to work with, and why?
So I would say my top 3 at the moment are DJing, photography, and so I guess DJing, like that's like music, But DJing, yeah, I haven't produced music in a long time. That like kind of also has come and gone in my life, but it's always been there, and I love to experiment with that. And then visual art is like how I would describe it, but multimedia, I just work with what I gravitate towards. If I'm like, I'm gonna do collage, and I might like keep it really simple and only allow myself to just work with the scissors and the glue and the scraps, or I might be like, let me look through my old like little scrap pieces of art that I've made and add to them and do a little bit of painting and then add words to that. Like I was working on a poetry book where I'm cutting words from different places and making poems out of that. So random. My style is random.
It's random, but it's not. It's like there's some precision in there that it takes to create, and some patience to be able to be like, okay, these are the words I'm looking for.
There's like this element of like, I have a photo of me in like an old apartment where I had this whole big mat that I was working, like a lounge mat that you roll out, and I had cut and like put all of these like little collage pieces over the whole thing, and to me it felt totally, I was like, this is just what I'm doing. I'm seeing what I'm working with here. I've cut out all these things. Let me see, like categorize them, and this is all faces, this is all this. And then I took a picture of it, and then I found it when I looked at it at a later point in time. I was like, whoa, that's like, from an outside perspective, that seems crazy. But I get such a like high from like,
so
categorizing stuff. I'm just seeing like, oh, I've done all these things. Yeah, like meticulous, like I said earlier. Like, is it necessary to do that? I don't know. It's just part of my...
Do you think while you're doing that, the music that you're listening to plays into it?
Yeah.
That's
true. That's true for sure.
You
go into like a flow state.
I like that, because float life. Are there any artists or art moments that have influenced your work?
Ooh. One comes to mind, Marina Abramovich. She's the artist who did, there's like a documentary about her called The Artist is Present. And she did this experiment where her whole like exhibit is her sitting in a chair, and then she puts the chair in front of her, and people all just show up one at a time. They'll sit across from her for like 3 minutes or some amount of time, and they just like sit in silence and look at each other.
I think I seen that. She was wearing like all black. It's like a big white art room. I was like,
Okay.
I could do that for a couple million. So.
Yeah, and that made me just think of like, cause then it goes into her life and what she's doing, and she created like a center of like, kind of like how you're saying, is just doing these creative things for no reason. People show up and someone will go sit on a tree stump in the forest and with the blindfold on for an hour, and then they'll come back and report how that was, or someone will have to go and like dance in the moonlight, or just a weird experimental creative center.
That gets them reconnected to life.
Creativity. And she did a lot of performance art. Her and a lover broke up, and they both hiked from the opposite end of the Great Wall of China. And then they like met at they were already broken up, and this was like their final like kind of thing, to like meet in the middle and then just be like, we did good, but we gotta go our separate ways. It's a whole thing, but
that's how you break up?
And it speaks to me, because to me, I'm like, my life is my art, and she did a lot of performance art. So like, so with this grant that we both got, part of me wanted to be like, hey, what if my project is like, since y'all are paying my rent for like all this time, like I just get to live my life.
Yeah.
And my project is me reporting back and saying, well, it looks like if we meet people's basic needs, they just get to like thrive and connect with their community, and like their lives improve.
Yeah.
And the people around them benefit from that too. I was just like, of course I'm not going to say that, but like part of me when I was typing, like,
they should have did 2 grants and see which one won, because that is literally the dream. Somebody fund your ability to be you and create freely.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not just, oh yeah, this project or that project.
That is
Any
like
project.
dressing this thing, and th- not to. This is a great opportunity that we got,
Yeah.
and I know that there's these constraints that we don't know what level that they start at, where they're like, well, we're not just going to give people free money.
Yeah.
There's got to be something, but
Something that comes out of it.
there's also fellowship grants. Like,
Yeah.
I applied for one recently where they are like, no strings attached. You can use this money for down payment or.
Fix your teeth grant. What is the most challenging aspect of creating art for you?
Oh,
This should be a good one.
yeah. Okay, so number one would probably be my mind goes, it branches out because I'm like, what is the essence of this problem? Where does the root of it? And part of me wants to say perfectionism, kind of like what I said earlier about being too afraid to start if I'm a beginner at something or if I haven't tried something, if it's the unknown of, all right, I'm going to try this medium, or I haven't created in a while. I'm probably rusty. Just all these subtle subconscious things that I don't even realize.
Some inner voice talk.
But like I almost want to blame it on like being addicted to my phone and how easy that is to do instead of any other thing.
What have you been doing to overcome that? Because I know there's a lot of people that are like addicted to their phone, and they hear the self-talk saying, "Oh, just go back to bed. You're not good enough." With everything, not just art. So how do you overcome that? Because the more creative people can express that and say, "Hey, this is what I'm doing. This was working. This is what I tried. This didn't work." I think the more people to help.
To be honest, I think it's kind of a serious issue type thing.
Yeah.
Like, I think it's genuinely an addiction. I know that personally, I do think that something like ADHD exists. Now, like, where it comes from and why, that's a conversation.
Yeah.
But the point is that whoever you are, with whatever type of brain you have, just on a human level, we're being messed with, and our brains are being hijacked. They know what they're doing. They know how to like get the little hits of things and keep us in a habit, and the designers of the apps, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And so to answer the question, I think I haven't figured it out. I think we need to start AA,
for phone services.
for Instagram and TikTok, I guess. I got off TikTok. I had to go cold turkey on that. But yeah, like it starts with awareness. So I'm very proud of myself for how far I've come with being able to be aware of like, I don't get sucked in for like an hour anymore. I do get like, into sometimes these like holes, but I catch myself and I'm like, oh yeah, this is happening. And I like don't judge it, and I just go, well, I guess I'm bored, and this is, you caught me, and I'm bored, so this is filling that. I've heard a lot of like advice about ask yourself what you're trying to get out of it. Connection, sometimes that's what I want, is like there's people who I'm messaging with that I want to see if they've written me back, but it's like, can we get off of Instagram and move this to text? Because at least that way I don't open Instagram and somehow my brain gets wiped and I forget why I even opened it, and now I'm on some
That has definitely
crazy.
happened to me a couple of times. But like, I'm gonna go on here and reply to this.
Right. That's how they get us. Then they make that thing where you open it and the first thing you see, you're like, what's that? And then they make it disappear and go
Down, and
Yeah.
then you're trying to scroll to find it. Yeah,
That's
pretty
one of their
smart.
tricks. Very. Ugh.
So, how do you stay motivated and inspired when you're faced with creative blocks?
Probably, that's one of the things that I think I don't lack is inspiration. I would probably say I have like a perspective on ADHD that's very personal, and so for me, I don't lack ideas, I just lack the follow through because knowing, like I'm just like aware that there's so many techniques to like help us get stuff done, but I truly am just like, I can't fight my own brain, if that makes sense. Like it's most days I truly am just trying to like, lately it's been a lot about my body to just pace myself and not get burnt out.
Yeah.
And so like, I think that this question and the last one, I think it's a similar thing where I have to like take on a challenge like this grant, where it's like, if I didn't go for this, I would be so mad at myself. Did I think that I was like, I knew that it would be that type of challenge that's like right on the edge where I'm going to have to like learn and grow, but it's not so beyond my capacity that I'm going to be like, oh shit, I just, like, oh snap, I like, you know, oversold my abilities.
Yeah.
So it's challenging me, but I'm like...
It's a good challenge.
Yeah.
This next question kind of ties in. What role does emotions play in your artwork?
Ooh, there's another tie-in to being present that I'm feeling. Like, I feel like that can sometimes be a block. If I'm in a bad mood, I might not be able to get
Freely
past
create.
that. But more and more, I'm like aware that it's like a mind state sometimes, because it's like something's on repeat in your head, and you can literally just like think a different thing. That's another thing with what I say about ADHD is like the benefits are authentic passion and inspiration and creativity. Like sometimes I joke about ADHD is like you just get bored easily and you can't fake interest.
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, but also in society, it's like, you know, it's not socially acceptable to be like, oh, I'm listening. What was the question again? Also, again, with ADHD.
How does your what role does emotions play in your artwork?
So ADHD, being present, I would say another benefit is like, I can kind of just move on from things a bit easier. Like, you can distract yourself. I think, as like I said, a coping mechanism I developed. Some people say ADHD comes from trauma, whatever you want. There's an open dialogue about all these things, but all I know is what I know and what I experienced. And I know that for me, it was like an escape from what I'm having to deal with. And so I can change my mood states. I know that I can choose to think something else, put on a song, especially music. Yeah. Like you said earlier about if you put on the right song, you can really just disappear, and that's a powerful one. The right music can either ruin my mood.
Do you think that from your DJ abilities, or is that from just like where'd you learn that?
I think it's like having a sensitive nervous system where you're just aware of like how the beat of something makes you move. That's you know? Right. And I'm like, sometimes I'm just like, maybe I'm the only one who feels this, or maybe I'm the only one who's aware of this. In certain, let's say if there's 3 people in a room, I'm one of them, and there's a song playing, and I'm like, I can literally feel how like whatever I'm doing, it somehow is controlled by the music. The way that I'm moving things around, or I tend to walk on beat, and without even, I'm just like, the music is controlling. Yeah. And then that translates to DJing, because you're like, people respond to this subconsciously.
That's tight.
I'm like, I hope these questions are getting answered.
This is awesome. For me, like, I caught it as a kid because when I'm in the grocery store, I can't stop moving. I'm like doing whatever. Mom's like, stop. And I just can't. And I've done that my whole life. And it's got me to travel the world because I embraced it. And it's got me to do all this other cool stuff and meet the coolest people in the world because I never stopped wiggling in the grocery store. Mm-hmm. I still wiggle in the grocery store. What were they playing? It did.
Where were you shopping?
I don't know, but the Rayleighs out here be cracking. It's like they're whoever picked their music, good job. Their levels are pretty high, I will say that. Yeah. I know. It can be a little much if I'm just trying to get it. Oh, yeah, if you're just shopping. Some jam. But I'm never just shopping. I'm walking, I'm listening to music, and I'm like, ooh, I could play this. Let me Shazam that real quick. So
Okay, wow.
It's an ongoing love affair with the music.
When I go to Rayleigh's, I'm usually trying to like dip in and out and not be.
You try not to be seen? Got your celebrity
Rayleigh's
on?
is just so big, it's expensive, and then I'm
But have you tried their pizza?
driven all the way over there, and the pizza's good.
Yeah.
You could get a
It's worth
DoorDash.
going in there. Oh, you can?
You can.
Oh, I know what I'm doing tonight. How do you choose the subject for your pieces?
Oh.
Because you had some pretty
They
dope
choose
ones.
me.
Nice.
Well, what comes to mind?
Like,
Some stuff in the gallery that I had?
or just even like, not the commission pieces, the stuff that I just feel like creating. How do you choose that? Like, is it like, oh yeah, I feel like I want freedom, so I'm gonna paint a bird flying free in the air. Is it
I
like-
see. Yeah. I gravitate to figurative art in terms of faces. Like, I like this artist to, one of the earlier questions about artists, I feel like I've been influenced by Alex Gray. He's really high up for me because his stuff is very psychedelic and figurative. And then this creator called Mad Charcoal.
That's an awesome name.
You might have even seen him because he's big on like Instagram and social media. But he'll do like charcoal, just like free form. He's just smacking it around. And then usually, we don't see his like, reference image. But like over the course of this reel, you go, whoa, whoa, and then he'll have like a face pop out.
Wow.
And he's just like throwing the charcoal there and like squishing it around. So I like when stuff like that happens. And I like experimented with that. I got to get sponsored to take his course. So like
That's tight.
I got like his kit and the video class, and that's one of the things that's like on my table that I should be doing is just playing the video. And it's one of those dances I'm like, well, I'll just play one of the, I'll play the intro video like in the bath tonight, but like.
Yeah, I know.
And I don't.
I have a million master classes sitting waiting for me. So I'm in the same boat.
Where's the master class for watching the master class?
Yeah, for real.
Get your life together.
How has your art evolved over the years?
It's definitely become more like my own. Like, let's just take DJing. I would say early on, just trying to learn, I was like, let's stick with house and techno, the four fours. And that was great to explore, great to learn that way. But I started just taking my own path and like still having an appreciation for that.
Yeah.
Like I could dig it, but now in recent times, I think I was explaining it to you when we were in your studio not that long ago about when you were showing me the scratch techniques and stems.
Yeah.
And I was like, this changes, like it's just like overwhelming.
Yeah.
Because even back when I was mixing more like 4/4 music, I was always like, but what if we put Rihanna's voice right there? Or like, or this one little, I'm always reminded of like AOL days when we would have Messenger. You could download little sounds and it would be like Mariah Carey. And when you send, it's like, I don't know. I don't remember what, like Aaliyah.
Yeah.
I remember there being some Aaliyah ones I was excited about. I was like, just me and
little
my best
sound
friend.
bites.
Sound bites. I was like, I don't know. I love that, like, there's this little, we put a little...
Yeah.
It's just so fun. So it's become more my own. I was able to say, here's what I like to do. I like to play songs all the way through. And what I found was, okay, maybe I should be a radio DJ. And so, like, I just recently got accepted to be a radio DJ for KWNK Reno.
Let's go, for real?
Yeah.
What format? Like in style of music? Is it like you get to choose whatever you want to play?
Free form.
Oh, that's awesome.
My own show.
It's
going to be called, well, the update is the name will be Poetry. And you got to stay till the end. or I don't know how people will
Yeah.
be shown the track list, but it'll be a poem. It'll make a poem.
At the end for the title of each
Yeah.
track.
It's meticulous
That's
again.
yes.
It's like a theme.
And you gotta do this
There's
every
a
week.
message.
Oh, this is gonna be awesome to see.
You know, they had remote DJs like from out of state. So I'm like, hey, y'all are in Reno. That's close, but also the winter's here.
I might not be pulling up because when that snow hits, everything slows down.
It's a snow day.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah, and everything can be remote now. You just make your mix, send it in. I'm not mad at that.
So I'm like, hey, could do this, but as long as we are open-minded about how.
Yeah,
I'd love some studio time.
I would love to hear more about that. That sounds like a great opportunity. And you sound like you're about to kill it.
Community radio. It just resonated with me because they're like, we're all about like just connecting people and building community, diversifying people's musical exposure, and we're not about,
Top 40.
DJ egos or.
Yeah.
And one DJ, her show was the emoji show, or her whole playlist would be like she'd be like, this is the sunglasses emoji
And that's what the song.
show. The
last
entire
time-
show is like, maybe she said songs that you would play if you're walking down the street with your sunglasses on.
That's tight. And then every week it changes. So this is gonna be the sad emoji show.
Sad emoji, dinosaur emoji. It's limitless.
That is awesome. Are there any art techniques or styles you would like to explore in the future? We just talked about the
good
DJ
question.
one, but
Yeah, I really want to have like a multimedia thing. Like I want to combine the stuff that I've made or that I'm interested in with visual art to make something more complex. There's photographs that I've taken that I'm like, yes, this is a beautiful photograph. I don't know if I just want this to be like printed as a print and on the wall. Maybe it's gonna have like fabric on it and it's like 3D or I don't know what, but like I learned how to sew a bit and I kind of want to embroider, and so I'm like, maybe I can, and then I'm going to be taking ceramics classes. I'm all over the place.
that's good though, because that means when you're
Master of none.
well, who's a master of anything? And how bored do you get once you master it? As long as you got something else to learn, I feel like it's like
You're right.
life is a learning experience that never ends. You're just learning until when you stop learning, you're dead.
Right. And you know what actually makes me more mad sometimes is when you're like, oh my God, this person's a master, and you like look at their story, and then like they stuck with one thing, and then they're like, and then when they turn 56, like they did something completely different. And I'm like, everybody's path is different. I'm doing like a lot of the exploration now, and I truly believe that it's dependent on like what we had as resources when we were younger. Some of us didn't get to have those parents who are like, oh, my child's interested in this. We weren't paid attention to. I wasn't paid attention to. I was there, but nobody knew what I was doing.
Yeah, it was a free roam. Like, yeah,
Free
I'm
roam.
going this way.
Yeah.
Where's he at? Oh,
Where have you been?
I was gone for 3 months. You didn't notice? So, yeah, that was, I definitely did that. Summertime come, ain't no school, I'm to the mountains.
To the mountains.
Well, my godmom had a spot, and we would go to her house because it was like pools and like a guest bedroom. It wasn't even a bedroom; it was a guest apartment that overlooked the trees, and we'd be in there playing James Bond for 3 months.
Wow.
And then come home, she like, hey, wash my clothes and get ready to go.
Right.
So,
No questions asked.
do you have any advice for aspiring artists?
Ooh, come on, love. What do you got to say to the people? Man, I really start to feel more like, I just feel a lot of empathy related to what we were talking about being like a modern human and how we have, things just don't make sense. How we're expected to keep going when things don't add up.
Yeah.
And when it's like and we're like just trying to keep it together and time goes by so fast, you know, like I get really existential. I just do. So I guess from my perspective, because I'm trying to think of like what, has anyone said anything to me that would be like that has inspired me to keep going? And to bring up the artist that I mentioned again, I think that they created art from a very like existential spot. I almost want to inspire people to just like keep going instead of create necessarily, but what I would say is start small. And just like, I'm not trying to inspire people to like, I want to like get a little bit more, yes, maybe it's inspiring for people to see a quote that says like aim for the stars, but like, I'm like, look, what do you need? Are you feeling super isolated? Because it's really not inspiring to be lonely and just stuck. So I think mental health wise, I would rather inspire people to like take small steps, and I'm not trying to say get help, but get some help. Like,
Yeah.
go,
Do
you
something
know,
that feeds your soul.
yeah, like inspire yourself by changing an element in even a small way, because I do believe that like small changes will ripple out.
Yeah.
So like for me, it did take some big steps moving out of Sacramento, because I had lived there almost my entire life. It's all I knew. And starting fresh, clean slate, to me, that's inspiring. But there has to be some elements. Some people don't like looking at a blank canvas. So I remember I used to feel that way until I was like, oh, but if it's painted black, I like that better than if it's just a plain white canvas. I'm like, something about changing one element, change the start point, the inputs.
That's
And
tight. Quick answer. Best advice ever given?
to me.
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm trying to think of therapists that have had an influence on me. That one's hard for me. That's a hard question.
Flip then. Worst advice ever given?
Oh, manifest things and just think positive. Just like, yeah.
Believe it into existence. What is your favorite part of the art creation process?
Ooh, I really like the actual part of when you're finally starting to see something.
Mm-hmm.
And
It's starting to take shape.
starts to take shape. That's a really nice feeling. Like I like, before anything else can go wrong, I guess, like if you're like overdoing it, keep trying to change or add things. There's some sweet spot and that's like, it feeds your inspiration, because you're like, I don't even know, but I made this and it sounds really good right now, or it looks,
Yeah.
today it was like working on this mural with this grant, and I'm doing a lot of like painting straight edges, and other folks who were trying to help me with it, they're like, I'm not sure I'm enjoying this, but I'm just like, I love it. I love to just like do the motion. Painting a mural is fun because you get to paint big and you just get to like use your whole body.
Wow.
It's like dancing. You're like, and there we go.
So you're not like taping it off, you're just freehanding the straight lines?
They're not super straight, but
That's
they're
a
edges.
hard technique. Did you have a lot of practice doing murals?
This is my first one.
What? And you got straight edges? That's tight.
They're edges.
When I first started doing graffiti, it was
Oh my
like
gosh.
I couldn't do it. Everything was like weird and deformed, and my straight lines were like jagged and
That's hard.
paint running, and it just, yeah.
Straight with the spray that's different.
Well, I met this guy named Raven. I think he's from Chicago, and he was like, no, come help me with this one. Fill this in. And then he showed me, he's like, don't get too close and don't be too far. And don't go just pure strokes. And that, from that alone, upgraded everything I do.
You got the physical sensation, like, oh, that's how that feels.
And if he's like, you want to cover more ground at the end and you want it to be lighter, just pull back and it'll flare out. And I was like, he was like, nah, just keep doing it. And he gave me like parts that didn't really matter, but
Masterclass.
yes. And it's just a random day. He was just working on stuff, and I just happened to be there, and he was like, come on, I'll show you.
That's what we need, is more people who are like, come on, I'll show you. That's what
Yeah.
you're doing.
Yeah.
You're just like, step into my studio.
For real. Come
I'll
on.
demystify this for you. It's not that complicated.
It really is not. How is it being in the artist lofts in Truckee?
Is that one of the questions?
No.
We're going off.
We're going on the real stuff now.
Quick time check, because I have therapy at 4 for my health.
Cool.
But we got plenty of time. This is all on the record, huh? No, just kidding.
Yeah, you can be
No,
honest as you want, be free as you
funny.
want.
It just feels like there's so much controversy around this place, and I'm trying to, to just take this from a personal
Yeah, your experience as an artist here, not like what everybody's talking about.
the narratives.
Yeah, because the narratives aren't always necessarily true, and they're not coming from the people who are actually experiencing it. So what is your experience? And it could be a bad one, could be a good one, could be like, hey, I hear stuff, but it's not something I'm going through, or it is something I'm going through. I had to choke my neighbor yesterday. Could be anything.
Oh, artist lofts. It's been probably much different than I might have imagined it at some point, because what I had to go off of was the warehouse artist lofts in
Oh,
Sacramento.
exact, yeah.
So there was me like walking home past it from work. I worked at a spot called Market 515.
I know the place.
You would roll in.
Yeah.
So
They got great sandwiches
they had great sandwiches
until they closed.
Until they were the prototype for Rayleigh's One.
Are you serious? Oh, they should have
Just
kept
like
it.
on the down low, they were like, we're gonna try a natural foods store run by Rayleigh's. So that's what they're doing. Anywho, I would walk past it and be like, I'm gonna live there, because there was in 2016 I had really wanted to live there, but that I didn't even end up applying because I got like kind of uninspired by a particular person to not even bother applying.
I applied.
You did.
I was on a wait list for 3 years.
Uh-huh.
And then the 4th and 5th year hit, and I was like, I'm just not going to get in.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, well.
No calls.
No
nothing.
call, no nothing. No email.
So I did eventually apply. I forget when this was, but they go by, you end up on a certain list because of the income.
Mm-hmm.
And so the list I was on, they did call me.
Ooh.
But this was in 2020, I think.
Oh, you got called right during COVID, huh?
And my name came up, and I went, but I didn't make enough money for that unit. And I was like really feeling that kind of like that I had put all my eggs in that basket, that this was going to happen. This has to be it. Because what I was imagining was like, now in hindsight, I think even living at the warehouse artist lofts is a bit different than what people can imagine it to be.
Yeah.
It's largely up to you what you make of it, right? Somewhat, but let's talk about the artist loft at one point, that it's just like totally up to us, and it's going to be what we make of it. And as we learned, this is something you could speak to, that's not quite true.
Yes.
Because we had a lot of visions and ideas, but we needed a reliable source of like support and follow through.
Yes.
So we're just like the ADHD brain, and then there's no like trying to actually like make things happen, and it's really frustrating. I was like frustrated, I think, by my like desires, like getting excited and being like, oh, it's up to us. Let's put the effort in. And then, what?
You can't do that.
No, you can't do that. Or no answer.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
oh, could we get like this? And the bare minimums, like, we did get a garbage can in here in the art room. So what?
Let's go for the garbage can.
But that was a resident found a garbage can out there somewhere.
Oh.
Their contribution, management gave us a recycle bin. Let's go.
That's nice.
We got what we need around here, but
We ended up getting blinds too, right?
oh, I had to send some angry emails.
So you made the blinds happen. Good job.
And I did something I wasn't supposed to do, which is go directly to one of the owners.
Oh.
And she like didn't respond to me, but the next day, Rob's
got
in here
back.
measuring. So I said, "Oh wow."
We know the order of how to get it done then.
But we don't still to this day. If you ask me like, "Hey, can we do this?" I don't know. Like it's like if someone finds out, they might say that this whole time this wasn't allowed, or like
Yeah.
I'm doing this free art supply thing. I think this is okay, but like who knows? Maybe
I don't think anybody's gonna hate on some free art supplies in an art
True.
room.
well, but it's
True.
funny because there's been incidents where it's like I don't think anyone would have a problem with a DJing or whatever
Yeah,
we're trying
yeah.
to do, and then turns out that it is a problem.
Yeah.
So it's been mixed. I've felt like I've had so much more inspiration to like grow here, but that was taking place in this environment where there was a lot of unpredictability and like change happening. Sometimes even just like I never doubted if I made the right decision. I knew I was where I needed to be, but I did have moments of like,
Yeah.
what is going on?
It's almost like we needed an advocate for the artist to be able to fully like be creative and express
Right.
themselves.
I think this place has been a letdown in a lot of ways. I'm just going to be honest, but for a lot of people, and even for me, I have a rent that I find affordable, but it's still for me. It's not for me. Like, and I find it affordable, but I'm like, it's still a large portion of my income, and they raise they raise the rent every year. So it's like, at what point will
Will
I
not be able to afford it?
I hope that I'll continue to grow with my finances, but at the same time, we're not promised anything with the way things go in life.
Yeah.
And I want to keep making art, but like we live in Truckee.
It's not very friendly on the pay side.
No.
So, what could you do? What could you see that would make your experience here better? Like a solution-based type stuff.
Well, I wonder if more people could like. I think it's going to take some shifting around with who lives here, and that's all I'll say about that. But like, I want everyone who's here to really want to be here, and then
Be here as a part of the community, or be here as just be here.
probably both. Because I feel like it's a mixed bag. We have folks who maybe have nowhere else to go, perhaps.
Yeah.
I mean, to some extent, that's true of a lot of us. Not a ton of options. But I also believe, imagination-wise, we were talking about, we can imagine better options for us. I want to live on a tiny home on some land or something with other people. Tiny home commune.
Tiny home village.
But here, like we're talking about here, it might take a shift in people's, if we can all, like more people could like let go of what it has been like, and like maybe they've like tried to be in community and it didn't go well. Can we circle back around and try again?
Yeah.
But since it does depend so much on like us as individuals, it's almost like making a comment about what it would take to like shift this town, or let's not even go beyond that, but like let's just focus on artist lofts. I think it would take a lot more accountability and involvement from the people who own this place and who are invested in it. They need to actually invest in it.
Yeah.
Like the legacy of Ali Yousefi, like I don't know if anyone stepped in to fill his shoes because he really believed in artists, and like
That's
okay,
kind
let's
of
make
hard to
him
fill
proud.
those shoes, though. I heard the stuff that he was doing was amazing.
Yeah, it
So-
doesn't mean that there's one person that needs to film.
Ah,
Team effort.
There's a community involved.
Because maybe he is with us in that way, I feel like it's not going to take one person. I'm irreplaceable.
Yeah.
But you all can like
Pitch in and do a
Pitch
little
in.
bit. It's tight.
there's interests of who owns this place to like profit, but they need to think a little differently, because apparently we don't make the owners money
Yeah.
by living here.
Where the artist lost.
Right.
Artists don't make money in society until they make extreme money.
Streams.
So it's like, you get nothing. The moon. So.
And they didn't want me then.
Back then they did want me. Now what? They all want. All right. So.
Maybe it'll take you just
Blowing up.
and like giving shout outs and saying,
Yeah.
well,
Shout out to the artist law for getting me here.
or maybe critical. Y'all need to do better. I'm inspired to do that and use a platform for me to be able to be like, you could do better.
Yeah. Yeah. And then it opens the door for a conversation. Like, we can do better. These areas you did great. These areas we can improve on.
Yeah. Like, thank you, but you need to do better too.
Yeah. Well, are there any things that you're looking forward to doing as an artist that you haven't achieved yet?
Oh, yeah. Probably DJing like a large event, like maybe a festival. When I say large, that's relative. To me, it doesn't have to be insane. I'm not trying to downplay myself or anything, but I like more intimate things.
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe if I experience like a sea of people, that would be like a different high, and I'd be like, that's what I want. But I know that I like to like be in the same kind of zone as the people who are listening and not be like on a completely different
75 feet away from the crowd on the high rise.
Yeah, I don't know if I like that. And just like opening champagne bottles. I don't know that that's what I like.
Well, if you have an intimate venue and you need a DJ, holler at Love.
Yeah, holler. Let's see, the other things are probably like doing like an exhibit, like I had mentioned, to have a multimedia thing, a sculpture that integrates a lot of different stuff, and definitely paint like a large mural on a wall. And yeah, those off the top of my head.
Sounds great to me.
Yeah.
Any social medias you want to shout out and places that they can find you and find your artwork?
Well, let's see. I guess I have to plug Instagram.
Let's go.
Before you open the app, write a little list of here's what I'm going to do on Instagram. Look up Love's profile.
Yes.
Respond to so-and-so's message, and then I'm going to close it. So you could find me on there at Mutable Made. Mutable is Mutable. And then my DJ name is DJ Mutable. I'm on Mixcloud and SoundCloud. Some stuff on SoundCloud, but it's a little old. But hey, it's there.
It's your art.
It's my art. And it's timeless. And I'm working on a website, but that's in progress.
Let's go.
That's in progress.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking with you. I know you got some things to do. So I guess we'll grab some of your artwork and be able to show it off while we're going through this interview. Hope you guys enjoy the conversation. Powered Voices, we done.
Woo!
High five.